The turning point of a parabola sits on its axis of symmetry, and that is at minus BR over 2a. Here a is 2 and b is minus 1, so it is minus bracket minus 1 over 2 times 2. Minus a minus is plus, so x is 1/4. Half the errors on this part are that double negative. Now, put a quarter back in to get the height. 2 times a quarter squared is 2/16, an eighth. An eighth minus a quarter is minus an eighth. Minus an eighth minus 15 is minus 121 over 8. So the turning point is a quarter minus 121 over 8. And because a is positive, that is a minimum. X-intercepts mean y is 0. So set the whole thing to 0 and factorize. 2x squared minus x minus 15 comes apart as 2x plus 5 times x minus 3. Always check the middle term before you go on. Minus 6x plus 5x is minus x, which is what we want. Each bracket in turn. 2x plus 5 is 0, gives minus 5 halves. X minus 3 is 0, gives 3. That is what the question asked you to show. And while you are here, get the y-intercept too. F of 0 is minus 15, because the very next part needs it. Now the sketch, and read the instruction. Label all the intercepts and the asymptotes. The marks are on the labels, not on how neat the curve is. Start with F. It opens upwards because A is positive. It cuts the x-axis at minus 5 halves and at 3, and it cuts the y-axis at minus 15. 3 labels, straight from the 2 parts you have just done. G is a straight line, so 2 points finish it. Set y to 0. 3x equals 4.5, so x is 3 halves. Set x to 0, and the y-intercept is just the constant, minus 4.5. Rule it through those two and stop. A line needs nothing else. AH is the log, base a third. Every log passes through 1 on the x-axis, because the log of 1 is 0 whatever the base. The asymptote is the y-axis itself, x equals 0, and that is the one the question is asking you to label. And because the base is less than 1, this log falls instead of rising. H of 3 is minus 1, h of a third is plus 1. Plot those two, and the direction is settled. Abscissa is just the x-coordinate. The word is the only hard part of this question. Both points sit at x equals 4, one on each graph, so the segment joining them is vertical, and its length is simply one height take away the other. No distance formula needed, because there is no horizontal gap to account for. Substitute 4 into each. For f, 2 times 16 is 32, minus 4 is 28, minus 15 is 13. For g, 3 fours is 12, minus 4.5 is 7.5. So the 2 points are 4,13 and 4,7.5. 13 minus 7.5 is 5.5 units. And here is the thing the guideline says out loud. It will accept g minus f as well. But the answer has to be written down as a positive number, because hr is a length. Subtract the other way and get minus 5.5, leave it like that, and you have lost the mark on a sign. An inverse swaps the two sets. What went in comes out, and what came out goes in. So the domain of H inverse is the range of H. A logarithm can produce any real number at all. Push x close enough to 0 and it runs off to infinity. So the range of H is all the reals, and that is the domain of the inverse. Do not compute anything here. Read it off H. The same swap, the other way. The range of H inverse is the domain of H, and you can only take a logarithm of a positive number. The log of 0 and the log of a negative do not exist. So H's domain is x greater than 0, and the range of the inverse is y greater than 0. The guideline says you do not lose anything for leaving out the y in the reals part. Equal roots is a discriminant statement. b squared minus 4ac equals 0. The only twist is that c is the letter you are solving for rather than a number. A is 2, b is minus 1, c is k. Minus 1 squared is 1, squaring kills the sign, and minus 4 times 2 times k is minus 8k. Set it to 0. 1 minus 8k is 0, so 8k is 1 and k is an eighth. Check it if you like. 2x squared minus x plus an eighth is 4x minus 1, all squared over 8, a perfect square, so it has one repeated root at a quarter. 2 marks, and the guideline gives both for the value of k. Subtract and take the brackets seriously. Every sign inside f flips. 3x minus 4.5 minus 2x squared plus x plus 15. Collect. Minus 2x squared. 3x plus x is 4x, and minus 4.5 plus 15 is 10.5. Notice the leading coefficient is now negative, so this parabola opens downwards, and it really does have a maximum. Same tool as 5.1. The maximum sits on the axis of symmetry at minus b over 2a, which is minus 4 over 2 times minus 2, and that is 1. If you prefer calculus, differentiate. Minus 4x plus 4 equals 0 gives x equals 1 as well. The guideline says any valid method, so use whichever you trust. Now substitute 1 back in, because the question asked for the maximum value, not for where it happens. Minus 2 plus 4 plus 10.5 is 12.5. Stopping at x equals 1 is the classic way to do all the work and score 2 out of 3. It is the answer to a question nobody asked.
18 marks, and the sketch is 5 of them, more than any other part, and the one most people rush. Those 5 are not for artistry. They are for labels. 2 x-intercepts and a y-intercept on the parabola, 2 intercepts on the line, 1 intercept, and 1 asymptote on the log. 6 labels, every one of them a number you already worked out in the parts before. The pattern across this whole question is that the later parts are paid for by the earlier ones. 5.3 uses 5.1 and 5.2, and 5.7 uses the same axis of symmetry trick as 5.1. Do them in order, and the question gets easier as it goes.